Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 115th edition of Cinema Effect. I'm Zach. I'm going to do it, and I'm joined by my Denis Dick Riders. We got Jaden, who's Dick Rider number 1, and we got Fitzy, who's Dick Rider number 2. Although, actually, I should ask Fitzy, do you actually want to? This was Jaden's name. Do you want to actually associate as a Denis Dick Rider, or would you rather not?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, you happy to? All right.
I'm a Dick Rider, yeah.
I'll take it. Yeah, I'm happy to be one as well. I'm number 3. Should we rename the show to Denis Dick Riders? Or?
For this episode, surely, yeah.
Okay, you think so? This episode should be Sicario.
Yeah, not
Denis Dick Riders.
Episode
1. And then we just go back to, and so actually next week is episode 115. So I should just redo the intro.
No.
All right. God damn it! All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Cinema Effect, the podcast where we review and talk about a different movie every single Monday. And this week, that movie is Sicario, which opened in the US on the 2nd of October 2015. It was directed by Denis Villeneuve himself. Back at it again. I think it's his 3rd time here. So we have a bias, no doubt. His crime, yeah, right, Blade Runner and...
yeah, right. I forgot about Blade, yeah.
And what was the other one? No, I'm forgetting. Correct, very good.
Yeah.
And it is a crime drama. And the synopsis says, an idealistic FBI agent, not Fitzy, is enlisted by a government task force to aid in the escalating war against drugs at the border area between the US and Mexico. Jane, I want to start with you. How many times have you seen Sicario, and what do you think this time?
This is my fifth time,
Holy
I think,
shit.
watching it.
Wow. Holy, I didn't know that.
Yeah, fatigue's definitely starting to set in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, look, this was my least favorite watch just because I am so familiar with the product at this point. Like, I think I first watched it in 2017, so it's been 5 times in 5 years, pretty much. Probably just a tad too much. But and that's why I don't want to I can't really evaluate it on enjoyment because I was still fucking glued to the screen. But when you're so privy on the details, you kind of do lose a bit of that kind of mysticism and kind of mystery. But this is regardless, it's fantastic. It's a fresh take, not necessarily fresh, but it's a fresher take on a tried topic, and I think Taylor Sheridan does it fantastically. I think we've spoken about him as a writer before on the show. Have we done something that he's done?
Surely. Sounds familiar.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, anyway, unless it was just like a highlight. I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, he's fantastic as a writer. Denis as a director, and then obviously the rest of the crew of Roger, and then the cast of Blunt, Benicio, Brolin, Daniel Kaluuya. And it's truly a nutty film, like in a technical and just in a storytelling and just everything sense.
Oh yeah, dude. Could you want anyone better for literally every single role in this film? Like, for real. I couldn't conceive a better combination of people to create this thing. It's unreal. I just want more Denis and Taylor collaborations, please, because what a combo that we get here with this film. I freaking love this film. This is my 2nd time seeing it, so I haven't got the fatigue that Jaden has, but I totally understand that. At the same time, though, Jaden, I'm sure you'd recognise that there's a reason you've watched it 5 times at the same time as well.
I think the first time I watched it 3 times. I think I watched it 3 times in quick succession, actually.
Oh, okay.
Within 2 months of each other.
Yeah. God. I totally get it. Yeah, I mean, glued to the screen is the perfect way to put it. Just, once again, I feel like we say this every time with Denis, but he is just a next level filmmaker. I feel like when you're watching this thing, every frame has so much thought put into it, and I don't know, but it just, as the way it plays out, it just feels like a film that had intense storyboarding. You just sort of can see it as it's playing out because it's so crisp and so polished, and not in subject matter, but just in terms of technical aspects is all. But the way it sort of shows, it tackles its themes and shows the grittiness of the characters and the world and the topic. It's all next level. I can't wait to break it down and get into all the nitty gritty with it. But Fitzy, how many times have you seen it? And what do you think?
I think this is my second watch. I don't know. Yeah,
Okay.
I think this is my second watch. Yeah, it's pretty good. No, it's pretty great. It's you know, it's very tense, very mysterious. I guess I
Mm.
don't know what's happening most of the time, and then I kind of figure it out, and it's kind of interesting. I guess. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty good.
Oh, so he's gone back to the original
Pretty good,
statement.
pretty great. I don't know. I'm kind of. It's, I'm like in between the two. You know, I'm
Okay.
like 50. Yeah,
All right. You're like a 7.8.
7.5. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. All right. So, may I ask what holds it back from you sort of just unreservedly saying it's great, it's awesome? You know what I mean? Like, is it an engagement thing? Like, do you have certain issues with the film we can get into, or is it more just like it just doesn't fully connect with you as you're watching it, sort of thing?
I have no idea. Like I was engaged the whole time, but I just don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah. Like
Okay.
I've been thinking about it, but I can't like think of an answer why it's not like just fully, the best thing ever.
I asked just because this time I did feel sort of knowing the main beats like I can sing this film's praises all day, but just like it wasn't like an in like I don't know like a S tier experience for me just because I do feel like it has untraditional pacing. I guess is untraditional a word? Yeah, it's a word. I feel like the pacing's a bit weird. Like from you have your major, really memorable sequences, and sometimes just the way they're sort of the way the story flows and they bridge together does feel a bit weird. Like you sort of get a sort of from the 40-minute mark to the hour 20 mark, it sort of does slow down a little bit. This isn't a major issue for me. It's just I was thinking about like why I didn't find it as memorable the second time, and that's sort of something I thought of. But I don't know if that is the same for you or anything. But that's why I asked. Is all. Um, Jan, you mentioned that this is tried and true subject matter. I just wanted to ask what you meant by that.
Oh, I mean, like it's just the drug war and kind of like and with between the Yankees and the South Americans and just or any other Americans really.
Right.
Like it's topic that's been covered before pretty extensively, both in like documentary and fictional products.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. I get that. I mean, it's very prevalent in many shows I watch. You know, like Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, Ozark, so on and so forth. Like it's very prevalent in media. I think these days. I agree. I don't know. Do you think just to get to the bottom of what you meant? Because I'm curious. Like, do you think that the way in which it sort of discusses these ideas of the moral ambiguity of it all, like, do you think that's been done before? Because I personally, I don't think I've seen anything like that.
No, and
Right.
that's why I said it's a fresh take because like it's kind of because it does have
Yeah.
this kind of spin on it that comes from Taylor's writing and just painting everything in the darkest gray you can.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it also is a big thing to. It's interesting. Something I was gonna bring up later, like once we've kind of discussed it, but I mean, like you've kind of led into it now. But it's interesting seeing other people, namely David Elric, the fucking guy from IndieWire, and he in his review of it, he talks about like kind of a like a romanticization of like the subject, and like I just think that if you think that this product is any way romanticized, you just did not watch the movie that we did because I think this movie does a massive effort to ensure that any of their characters aren't seen in like the positive light that you would typically see in like I don't know something like fucking Narcos or Breaking Bad or whatever I don't know whatever.
Right.
Um, like even like Del Toro, who's like kind of just like a mysterious assassin, ends up being like just the most violent and kind of very vile, and like the sequel goes to salvage his character a bit, but like his act at the end goes a long way to ensure that this is not a character you can idealize, and like just throughout like Brolin and just any of like the kind of US kind of operations in Mexico, like they just ensure that it's not seen in a positive light.
What was he saying? Like, what it specifically was romanticized? I can't even conceive of it. Not that you need to pull it up, but like, I just don't even. Yeah, I can't even relate at all. It's so weird to me. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I feel like a lot of that's in the script. I think Taylor's script is phenomenal. Like the way, just little character interactions and dialogue that's just constantly inserted to drive these points home is all feels really natural. And it's all super good. There's I could go on and on. I kept writing lines. It just says notes, little pieces of dialogue that I just thought were phenomenal. The way in which it tackles its morality is great. Denis just then comes in to this script that's already got that at its core, and then just brings it to a whole new level with his direction and with the way he directs the actors in particular is just like, God, it's so good. It's unbelievable. I mean, in terms of the stance the film takes, or lack thereof, I guess, why it's so interesting to talk about. I understand why the government wants, one major cartel in control and does shady shit to achieve that so they can control the war and the way everything progresses and all of that. And they want to eliminate, they cut off the head of the serpent, as they say, of the other rival cartel. But then the whole film just does such a great job of, you understand it, but you feel pretty uncomfortable to see how it's achieved and the grey of what everyone's going to do. And especially for me, what was driven home in this rewatch was Brolin's performance throughout the film and his demeanor towards the whole thing.
Yeah.
He's very aware of exactly what they're doing. He seems like a guy who's thought it all through very comprehensively. Like, he seems like quite a smart guy, but he also is just, he's totally more than willing to get the job done and doesn't really have much solace or much. He doesn't feel like his actions have much weight. He doesn't really take what he's doing that seriously, in terms of, he doesn't let it sit with him and dwell on it like, Emily Blunt has to deal with throughout the entire thing. Like, for me, the contrast of those two performances, Brolin and Emily Blunt throughout the film, and their clashes were a standout this time. I think, yeah.
I think Brolin's like amazing. I think he's like the best part of the film. The way he just shrugs off everything that Emily Blunt says, and it's just
Exactly.
totally fucking like like a blank wall. It's just hilarious. I just love the way he looks as well in this film. He's kind of like a bit disheveled or whatever, but he's like, pretty in control the whole time. Like, he's kind of I guess he's like the guy that's in control of like these US operation, like the US side of it or whatever. Because the other guy, like Guillermo, what's his name? Benicio is like, the Mexican.
Alejandro,
yeah. He's like the Mexican guy. So, yeah.
No, he is amazing. I love it. He is so smug. Brolin, that is, so smug. While he's just walking around chewing his gum. I love the detail that he wears thongs in the meeting. Like, all these little things. The way, one thing in particular, I love the way this was directed, was the scene where Emily Blunt and she walks into the brief for the first time before the border crossing sequence. She walks into the brief that's already the I guess, I don't know, the planning meeting where they've got the presentation going, and she walks in halfway through with Brolin, and you feel the way Brolin interacts with the other people in the room. He has this camaraderie with them that's uncomfortable, because they're all way too, they're sort of jokey. The way that then, like, Emily Blunt doesn't understand what's happening, but they clearly all do, and they're all in on it together, and she feels totally alienated from the situation, the way that the actors perform it out. And I feel as sort of in her shoes as the audience member, like, these people, I don't know, they immediately, right off the bat, without knowing any details, I felt uneasy about the whole situation. So I thought that was a really good scene as well. Yeah. I also love how there was that one scene where Brolin was just walking around. I think they were prepping. He was just walking around with his shirt off. That was a little thing I noticed, where I'm like, this guy's like way too comfortable in this environment, with what he's doing. But anyway, but while we're on him though, because I totally agree, he's amazing. Having just completed Everest and exhausted, Josh Brolin turned down this film. Cinematographer Roger Deakins sent him an email imploring him to join the project. Since it was uncharacteristic of Deakins to do that, Brolin changed his mind. He almost skipped this goddamn film.
Yeah, they talked about that quite a bit in the behind the scenes. Where he didn't see the character in the script. I think that's what he said. Like he couldn't see the character in the script. So like it took them talking to him, and like it wasn't until he started filming that he saw like what he could, like the value he can add, and like what the character actually is. So
That's
like
so
it's just that
interesting.
like he purely couldn't understand like where the value of the character came from, and like in the script, and like that's why he was like going to pass on it and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's so interesting. Yeah. I mean, thank God.
Mm.
Who else could they have gotten? I don't know. Speaking of great, we got Benicio del Toro in this film, and he is mysterious. He is. I mean, the way was it you, Jen? Already? I'm sorry, put it earlier with him, where he has this mysterious element throughout the entire film, but then you sort of don't really know how to feel about him. You literally don't really understand who he works for until you learn that sort of. And then his final scene. Well, not his final scene. I'm sorry. The dinner table scene. It's gnarly, dude. It's gnarly. I'm so uncomfortable watching it. It's awesome the way it plays out. Like I don't know. It really does just immediately show you that this guy. I don't know. He's not righteous. You know, this guy just shot down these kids and this wife, and I was not expecting that the first time I watched it. I actually forgot that happened, so I wasn't expecting it the second time either. But I love the way that scene plays out. I think it's really powerful, actually. And the performance that the other guy gives, the other cartel guy, I don't know his
Mm.
name.
Oh,
The,
it's like Fausto or something like that.
yeah, the performance he gives when he's sort of sitting there facing across from Del Toro across the table, and when he's like, you know, don't do it in front of them. As in, he's just the whole time assuming that he's only going to kill me, obviously. So don't do it in front of them. And then the way that when he just pops them all, and then the complete shock and dismay in his face, he can't even process it of what he's just happened around him in the 20 seconds or so before he's also killed was like really, really good. It's really good.
Mm.
Probably my favorite scene in the movie. I don't know. Is it yours, Jaden?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah.
What would be yours?
I think probably the first journey into Paris, you know, and like the
Oh,
return, I guess.
oh my god.
I mean, I don't know how much of that you want to include as one scene. You can probably like break it up into two parts of like the going into it and then the return.
Yeah.
The return's obviously spoken about because of the border crossing sequence, but like I think there's a lot to say about it, and there's a lot to appreciate about like the journey into Paris and like the Jóhann Jóhannsson score, particularly adds so much to it. And seeing looking at the way that he crafted that and the way that they've integrated that into the film, and also Denny's comments about it is really interesting about like how this it's kind of globalist, which I hate, but like I mean like it is what it is. But like the way he talks about like the fact that it's the same landscape divided by an arbitrary line in that fence, and the way that like the camera emphasizes that as they you know kind of make their move. I think it's really interesting in that way. And then obviously just the tension that it crafts is fantastic. I think the tension throughout the film is probably like some of the best that in a long time I've seen. Yeah, it's probably like the best tension piece. Yeah, I've seen like just in general, like top 3 at least. Like at the very least, I can say about it. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I totally agree. I mean, I view the whole Juarez thing as sort of just one whole sequence. I actually really like the drive-in. It's quite lengthy. There's just a lot of long establishing shots, but I don't know. To me, there's like nothing cooler than like a really cool like aerial shot with just the 4 black forward drives just driving down the road. You know, it's just
That's
badass.
cool. Yeah.
It's
I think
awesome.
that the length of the scene like adds a lot to the tension. Just obviously because you know like you're always waiting for something to go wrong, but like the fact that like the way that camera holds for like just slightly too long in some scenes, and like the way that it kind of tracks Emily Blunt and like you're very much in her eyes as it kind of
Yeah.
as it's happening as you drive in there. And you know you're looking at all the police vehicles surrounding you, and you know you've been told don't trust anyone. So each time one of them kind of seems to be a bit out of place, you're like you're just fucking
Yeah.
you know
The state police, they're not always the good guys. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah.
that whole thing is sensational. Like, of course, the awesome shots, the awesome, oh my God, the score. Like, I can just go on forever. I know Jaden can too. But then when we actually get into the town itself, like, that's when, you know, it sort of ditches the longer shots and it sort of gets right in there in Emily Blunt's shoes. And you also, the film throughout, but in that scene as well, sort of makes an effort to really show the perspective of the townspeople as well. Like, there's that one shot I really like of the dude just trying to play tennis, and then all this starts happening sort of around them. I mean, the main thing I guess that stood out for me was, I'd also forgotten, was the goddamn bodies hanging from the bridge or whatever it was, under the highway or whatever. God, it's just the whole, and it's just so confronting, I guess, and that's sort of the drive in. It's sort of building this tension, confronting, sort of seeing, well, getting a glimpse of what life is like in this place, and I don't know, it's gnarly. And then it only gets like totally ramped up when, of course, the extraction takes place, and then it just turns into, I guess, an action sequence after that. My personal favorite part of that whole thing is actually when the spotter car, they suspect a spotter car, the blue vehicle tracking them, and the way that was shot, of having it like through Emily Blunt's eyes, and having the car, like, she gets a glimpse of it, and then she gets a glimpse of it, and then it's gone, and then you've got the guys on the radio. Oh,
I do. Yeah, I remember. So the spotter car was like the police car, right? And just disappeared.
yes.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
What was your reaction to? Obviously, they get into a traffic jam on the actual crossing of the border, and then that's when the whole. Oh, I love this part too. The whole thing where it plays out, where it turns into a gunfight, but they suspect cars around them are hostiles. I guess. They're just cartel dudes. I really love some of the dialogue here, and like the emphasis on we must be engaged to engage, and then you see what happens. You know, the way, like, very literally in that moment, I found it was like, dude, that was a blurred line of being engaged. You know what I mean? And that's obviously Emily Blunt's issue with it. But again, I understand. You know, like those guys came out, they were drawing their weapons, but I don't know, did they engage? You know?
I mean, I'd say they would, but probably, you know, he was out. Dude, he went to go raise his gun. I mean, like, he should have dropped it straight away.
I know, but then they also proceeded to just gun them all down immediately, like all of them. You know? I don't know, that sort of exemplifies the whole conflict of the film right there in that one moment, which I thought was awesome. Just brutal, just violent. Just shows you exactly what these people are dealing.
Why do they roll their windows down on the opposite side of the car? What's the reason for that? Because like they put a big emphasis on that, like roll your windows down on the right side of the car when the like attackers are on the left side of the cartel guys.
It's probably some tactical thing. I don't know.
Oh, you mean on Benicio's side of the vehicle, he rolls the windows down.
Yeah, or there's like that other guy as well, like, you know, the other guy in the film's like Matt or something.
Oh, he's in the front seat, yeah.
Yeah, the front seat. He's like, roll your windows down on the right side.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's Google it.
But regardless, that moment was pretty cool. Whereas like Benicio was like to Blunt, she was like don't stay in the car, and it was like roll your windows down, and you're like kind of like, what's happening? And then Blunt's just totally shocked the whole time.
She has to kill a dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah, at the end, yeah. I mean, yeah, she also like helps spot the car and stuff. But like that's one of the most like shocking things that happens to her, I guess, or like shocking moments. One of the best like pieces of acting in the film. She's like, what are we doing here? I think she said something like that.
Yeah, it was all slammed in her face, you know. It's like, must have been crazy.
Another thing was like at the start, like the thing in America with the bodies in the houses or whatever.
Oh, sure, of course.
Already at that point, Kaluuya's character like asks, like, is this by the book? And like when they choose who goes with them, they're choosing between Kaluuya and her, and they're like, oh, he's a lawyer, we don't want him. So that's why they don't take him. It'll take the girl. That's what Brolin says.
Yeah.
because she's less likely to ask questions, I guess, because she's not a lawyer.
And then, but Kalia does end up asking questions, and then Josh Brolin's visibly sort of frustrated at that, and then still only gives sort of a half truth about the whole thing.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean that sums up sort of the US side of it all, is that they just want to don't ask questions. We know exactly what we need to do. We need everyone on this operation to be on the same page, be willing to do what everyone else is willing to do, and just get the job done.
yeah, and that's why like the reveal is so great that like the only reason she's there is like illegal,
Yes.
technicality. It's so funny.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. That's messed up. Yeah, and then the way they recruit her by playing to her righteousness of, do you want to get the guys who did this, who killed all those people in Arizona? She's like, yeah, of course I do. Dude, they couldn't give a shit about that,
Yeah, I mean it's a good setup though, because like in a more normal movie, that would be the kind of motivating, factor. She had like this horrible thing happen. She wants to like, go to more extreme lengths, but then it turns out to be just totally like crazy.
Like when this film's like when I found out like the CIA isn't like they don't work in America. They have to work internationally unless like they need like that, that unless they have that kind of partner like they say in this film. Like I always just thought the CIA would just like, I don't know, the FBI but different. But no, it's like yeah. I think the like all the like the way that all these like American agencies work, and like the kind of superiority complex of like each of them between like CIA and FBI and cops and detectives and all that shit. It's always interesting, It's like all this infighting is like, I don't know. It's interesting to see, I wonder if like the ADF and the AFP are just like at each other's throats all the time as well, or like,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they don't need to be. I mean, like fucking, what are we doing here? I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
So I want to go back to Brolin's character for a second as well, because like we kind of mentioned the fact like before he was like really like nonchalant and stuff like that, but also in like the scene where he's recruiting Blunt, they do show that he cares somewhat, in that like he does ask if like she has a husband, if she has kids, just because he knows that they'll be used against her or whatever. So like he's aware enough of that, and like like it's obviously like the bare minimum, but like okay. There is still like a semblance of like kind of like morality in him, but like then later on we kind of just see like it's the complete opposite.
I thought he was just asking that because he doesn't want to, in fear of the mission being compromised. I didn't really interpret that as him giving a shit about her,
Well, I mean, like it's both. It's about the mission.
Sure.
Being,
okay.
Like I say,
yeah.
Both,
No, that makes sense. Yeah. No, I get that. I mean, speaking of just like little pieces of dialogue throughout the film, just sort of while we're, I don't know, well, we're not really there anymore, are we? But the Juarez border crossing scene, the way that's all played with we've already talked about the shootout and stuff, but then after that, when the dude says, the guy that Fitzy said, I don't know his name. What was his name? The guy in the front?
Like Matt.
Isn't Matt Josh Brolin? Isn't that Matt?
Oh.
Yeah, actually, I think you're right. Wait, yeah, I think you're right. The way he's just like, when they're driving out, I mean, he's sort of a cocky asshole as well. And then he's sort of just like, this won't even make the papers in El Paso. And it's like, what? Dude, you just gunned down these people. Like, that was like another big one to me where I was like, yikes. I guess that actually sums up the whole thing. Every little detail like that in the film just makes me go, yikes.
I think his name's Steve.
Steve.
I mean, it's similar to like what Silence of the Lambs did for like for like in the context of the FBI of just like a woman in a male dominated space. I think this film does it again 20 years later and shows that not much has changed. It's like Emily Blunt is the sole female character of the film.
Excellent
like,
point.
Showing how like just dominated she is in every conversation, and how like kind of out of place she feels constantly, and kind of, you already mentioned it, like how it goes to alienate her in the meeting as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, the film does wonders, just showing kind of that kind of side of the task force agency thing, whatever you want to call it. Yeah,
gender inequality. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that just adds to it, sort of subconsciously, I think. Because I'm not like actively thinking the film's trying to make a statement about gender or anything, but it totally adds to it though, because when we see the way she's constantly tested and sort of broken down at the end. Well, that's just another thing to stack on top of all the sort of everything she's had to endure throughout the story here. Not to mention it almost being choked out by John Bernthal, Unbelievable. And for some reason, on my first, I recall that the first time that whole sequence in the bar and stuff being way longer than it was. I don't know why. But that was another good sequence that I liked a lot. I mean, it was probably a bit on the nose when like Daniel Kaluuya's like, oh yeah, Reggie, yeah, he's a good guy. It's like, all right, he's definitely not a good guy, is he? If I know anything about this film. But yeah, that whole scene was really tense where he started choking her out and stuff. It was really violent. It was actually their sort of hand-to-hand stuff on the ground was really good. I quite liked it. Quite visceral. But then Benicio saves the day, and my favourite part was when Josh Brolin just said, "Just write you planned it in your report." Like you lured him here on purpose. Pretty messed
That's another thing that was like that little detail of like don't go in the bank, and and just
exactly.
Oh yeah,
like, it's good.
She gets seen on camera. Yeah.
Her righteousness. She's like, "Oh, we can build a case on this." Yeah.
I like the way just they link the scenes with like the little wristband thing. It's just a great way to make the audience and both blunt, like aware of the situation at the same time. Without it being like overly like without stating it as like an obvious thing.
I was actually going to ask about that because I didn't get that. So why did she recognize the wristband?
Because she saw them at the bank, like when they dumped out the money from the bag. She saw like the wristbands had like is like what bound like the theaters. So she saw that.
I missed that part. Okay, so I recognized the wristband from the other scene where Diaz is in his home.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I remembered it there, but I forgot about it. Yeah, okay, got it. Makes a lot of sense. Shout out to John Bernthal, by the way.
Yeah.
Didn't need to see him get his goddamn ear molested like that, but There was another great line that Josh Brolin had where he was like, the great thing about you being beat up right now is that no one's going to notice a few more scratches. It's like, holy shit.
I like the tinge of comedy in that scene, just like in the way that his kind of. Yeah. That's another like Denny was saying in like in like the features about like how it is a place like it is a some people won't like the place for comedy, but like it is the place. It is because the subject matter is so dark. You kind of need to insert that little bit of lightness in it every just so often, just to kind of savor it a bit, I guess. Yeah, but
I mean, lightness could probably be used a bit loosely there.
Not lightness, but like like that element of comedy, just like thrown in every like that one line that's just there about I don't know when they go into the whole the no hablo inglés thing in like in the interrogation.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
We haven't talked about the Mexican family. Silvio's family, I should say. Sort of a recurring thing throughout the film. I think Zack Snyder would be proud of it. But I totally forgot. I was honestly kind of shocked when he was shot at the end by... Actually, forget what I said about the dinner scene earlier. That was the moment where I'm like, oh no, Alejandro, no, why? Because I actually totally forgot about that. I sort of thought he lived, but that would make the ending make no sense, of course. So this was an inclusion I really liked. It only adds to support everything we've already talked about, but seeing this family live in this town, have to deal with this shit every day, just the way it's put together, and the relationship with the kid, and the way that pays off at the end. I mean, I feel like you can do an analysis of the whole soccer scene at the end because it's awesome as well. But I thought this was a nice inclusion that really drove the stake into the heart, if you will.
It's an important inclusion as well because I mean, like, the film does so much to kind of make a villain of the city and kind of the police force there, and like it's like it is a very necessary thing to kind of counterbalance and ensure that the film doesn't go too far into like the Yankee heroes kind of point of view. Yeah, because how do you just throw Silvio in at the end in that kind of tunnel scene and that drive? It'd been very easy to just kind of like think, oh, it's just a corrupt police officer, but like you see he cares, you see he's kind of probably forced into it in a way. So like it's a very very important part of the story as well. Yeah.
Excellent point. Yeah, because otherwise, yeah, without some of that stuff, and it's not a lot of time spent with him, but yeah, you're right. I wouldn't have when Benicio's got him at gunpoint at the end in the car. I wouldn't have given a shit, you know. So that does a lot. But yeah, the whole ending scene is really powerful. I think it's great. This idea that the war just rages on forever, of course, but that's pretty clear. But also, I don't know, just its consequences that you see. His dad's death. You know, people have to. You know, these decisions that are made by these cartel leaders who can, sit in their ivory houses and make kill orders like we see that main boss guy does, but also the same thing on the US side that Josh Brolin can, get his orders and just do this shit and whatever. But these are the people that have to live with the consequences of it. They're on the ground. They live here in this place that they get the brunt of all this. And I thought the specific moment of all the gunfiring going off and sort of pausing the game for a second, and then the whistle blows, and it's sort of just all right, snaps back into it. Like, oh yeah, shit, this is just background noise for us.
So they're going to play World Cup games in 2026. The US, well, North America is hosting the World Cup, and they're actually hosting games in Juarez.
Whoa,
which blows my fucking mind. Because I was talking to mates about it a few weeks ago. I was like, players are going to get shot leaving their hotel. But like
decapitated and hung off the bridge.
Yeah, but I was having because in the behind the scenes, there's actually like quite a few like officials from Juarez that they worked with in the film, just for like authenticity and details and just like kind of portraying it in a respectful like accurate manner. But also like one of them was like he was like the vice chairman of something important, and he was saying like how they're trying to make it like they are very like trying to consciously like make an effort to kind of reduce the violence. And I was having a look before, and like it seems they have already, where like it says like the violence is still there, but it's mostly like driven to like the outskirts and like the poorer parts of town, and like kind of central Juarez is a lot safer. Still not very safe. It says like travel in large groups to ensure that you're like kind of not alone. But like the kind of like rampant violence that we see in this film is kind of, a product of 5 years ago, 6 years ago type of thing.
Oh, well, that's good. I mean, that's significant change in that period of time. So I'm happy to hear that. But yeah, no, don't worry, guys. This place is safe. Just make sure you're traveling groups of at least 8 people.
Yeah.
Stand a chance. Oh my God. Poor old mate Silvio's son has to deal with this shit for the rest of his life. I love that particular little moment where he reaches for his gun, Silvio's gun in his room, and Silvio's like, never touch that. But guess what? He probably will, won't he, after this? And that's the sad thing.
It's like, it kind of reminds me of On Sunday a bit. It's got similar kind of themes of like, revenge and like recurring like violence and that kind of thing.
Yeah, Denis loves his cycle of violence thing, like Prisoners, On Sunday, this.
Oh, Prisoners, yeah, very good point.
Yeah. And no, anyway, I don't know. I think it's in like a few. I remember like looking at analysis of it, and like it's in quite a few of his films. Yeah,
Dune is actually the same thing.
Yeah.
When discussing the score with composer Jóhann Jóhannsson, director Denis Villeneuve said he wanted the sound of a threat. The one film Villeneuve used as a comparison was director Steven Spielberg's Jaws. Which is an interesting comparison.
Yeah, that was straight from the behind the scenes on they call it a pulse from the desert, and I think there's nothing more accurate to describe. Like,
yeah, right.
It does just feel like this deep, undulating, oppressive, just kind of thrumping beat that he kind of used as a motif, and I think it's fantastic. I think Johansson is brilliant, and like his work that he's done with Villeneuve is awesome, and like I think we're robbed in that we didn't get a Blade Runner score from him. Like, I know he stepped back and said that this isn't his place, it's a loud film, and that's for someone like Hans. But I think he would have done so fantastically on the Blade Runner score.
I agree.
And it's just unfortunate, obviously, his untimely passing. It sucks as well. And
yeah. I want to rewatch Arrival to hear his score specifically, because I don't really recall it, but I'm sure it's awesome.
Two films that he, in 2017, both Mother and Blade Runner, are two films that he said, no, the film would be better without me. Like that's such a, it's such a like a, I don't know, it's such an awesome move that he can recognize that. I think it's not many people are going to turn down that kind of thing, and I think it's Yeah, I think it's fantastic. Yeah.
Especially if like someone who was on the rise like him. It's not like, oh, he was rolling in it and he can turn shit down. You know what I mean? Oh my god! Like you go on. It's the score's prevalent throughout the entire film, and it's phenomenal. But specifically, that one shot of the soldiers in silhouette walking with the sun, and they walk down below the horizon, and the it's like it's the most badass thing I've ever seen. I was drooling as that was playing out on screen. It was like unbelievable. I couldn't believe how good that shit was.
I mean, it's also just like such a like it's a straightforward like kind of thematic like use of like like they're now dipping below the line of like
exactly
like,
yeah
yeah
100%. But it's so cool. It's so cool. And the final score as well. Was pretty haunting as well, and it was sort of well, it was different, right? It wasn't the regular motif the film had used.
No, yeah, and like that's something that like is something else they talked about. Like like they balance it with this like kind of melancholic strings throughout, like when it needs to be that kind of quieter, kind of more pensive moment.
Yeah, and I mean that's the same thing for. I can't believe we haven't even really talked about the opening scene. Just oh my god, the whole thing, but specifically the opening seconds of the drive and being in the camera on Emily Blunt and the score and cutting in and outside of the van. Like, dude, that is so my shit. That is like that shit was made for me the way that was put together. It's just awesome. Oh, and when of course, and when the friggin' van comes through the wall.
Oh yeah, that guy's on his Xbox. He's on his Xbox.
Dude, imagine if that happened to you. It's unbelievable. Although I don't know how that guy could. How could you stand being in that house? Wouldn't it just smell horrific?
Yeah, that's what I was like. I was surprised they only smelt it once they tore down the wall. So I was like, sure.
Right? Yeah. No. Yeah. That's true. That's a bit weird. I mean, is Roger's cinematography even worth mentioning?
Not really.
It's just that good. Like you just gotta watch. If you've seen the film, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
Like it's once again, it's like kind of standard like stuff like that. Kind of like it's kind of like cinematography 101, but like they did a good deal about talking about like the use of like using light to kind of show like both like the good and bad in people. So like in that opening scene, like in the van, like they constructed a set of like a fake van because they couldn't do it in like a real thing where like the kind of light beams kind of like pass over each character's face, like to kind of show like their good intentions, but like once again going into darkness type thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's standard Roger stuff, like just playing with the light, just in the most fantastic ways.
Yeah. It's standard Roger stuff, just the best shit you've ever seen. Pretty much.
Bro, I disagree. This movie looks fine. This movie doesn't look like No Country for Old Men looks 50 times better than this film. It's just
really?
This film looks fine. It's not amazingly shot or anything.
Oh, I totally disagree.
That's cool, the symbolism that Jamie brought up, but the actual composition isn't anything like awesome. If it was, I'd love this film a lot more, I feel like.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I disagree with you as well.
Okay. Yeah. I'm okay with that.
Like big time. The coloring is also insane. Because like that scene where like she's smoking and like she goes like she gets taken on the roof to like look at the thing. Like they shot that.
That's another great shot. Yeah.
Like they shot that in almost like just like broad daylight, like in like and like they've just colored it to look like like a dusk type of thing.
Oh, it looked amazing.
Yeah, I thought like it looks great like that. Yeah,
that was another great moment actually, where you see the chaos that they've left in the town with all this exploding and shit. What are you gonna do? I was gonna ask you, Fizzy, what was your reaction to the actual sort of last scene where Emily Blunt and Benicio face off? And he asks her to sign it because.
Oh yeah,
that
was very good. Like you could tell she didn't want to sign it, and she was, she was debating with herself what to do. I mean, she either like tries to kill him or doesn't, I guess. So it was pretty epic.
I think that was also another cool thing in that like Del Toro tells Blunt that she reminds him of his daughter, but like that's not true because like she's obviously like way too old to like like actually like be an indication of her daughter.
Right.
It's like I think what Sheridan says it's is that she reminds him of like his old innocence as a prosecutor and like just someone that's like not like muddied by this world yet, and like that's why he's attached to her because like he can see that innocence because he finds that daughter character in the second film obviously in Isabella Mona.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
But yeah,
Kind of forgot
so
about
like in these in like yeah, it's strange that he tells her that it's a reminding of the daughter, whereas like it's meant to be like, you know, like yeah, a reminder of his old innocence. Yeah.
when he specifically says, like, when he first says you remind me of someone important to me, I figured he meant his wife. But then that's not true, and he goes on. But yeah, that was interesting. I mean, the whole that was what made that scene particularly compelling to me, was the fact that he clearly cares for Emily Blunt. He saved her life. He speaks highly of her. He checks in on her multiple times. Like, probably the person that is the most conscious of her and her well-being on the team. But then at the end, he still very much puts a gun to her head, tells her to sign.
Hmm.
Probably
Yeah,
the
he
hardest thing
shoots
to do.
her earlier as well in the tunnel scene.
Yes,
No, I mean, he
exactly.
shoots her just like he is aware that she's wearing body armor. Though I mean,
Yeah.
like it's a very non kind of thing.
Yes.
Very much
It's
like a shove, like, just get out of here.
But what was like the objective in like the tunnel scene? Other than like, what was Josh Brolin saying was the objective? Because obviously, like,
it's literally to get
Right.
Alejandro behind the lines and to get Alejandro to
yeah,
kind of get him to
I realize
try
that. But I'm just saying, like, what did Josh Brolin say to like his team?
Yeah, what did they
Like,
think was the objective? I
yeah,
agree.
what-
he said our objective is to insert an agent behind lines.
So why was that shocking to Emily Blunt?
Yeah, because Josh Brolin says to Emily Blunt, "You went down a tunnel that you shouldn't have."
Because I think it probably wasn't the way that she was expecting or something like that. He
But
says
what
multiple
would he?
times, wear a
But like, what would he
distraction,
say? Or what did he say to Emily Blunt? Like, what was like the objective?
Well, she got the same briefing. Well, we see her walk in on the briefing late, so she's probably just still trying to piece together like what's going on. But like we hear him say, and like Emily Blunt is in the room, so like we're meant to assume that she knows as well.
But she definitely doesn't know, because when she walks in on Alejandro,
no, but she does know because she sees which way she's meant to go, and then she chooses to follow Alejandro because she wants to see what's happening. It's not that she's shocked as to what he's doing. It's she knows what it is, and she's just shocked to see like what he's doing. I don't know how to describe it, man, but like it's a shock, but it's not the shock you're thinking of.
Really, I just think it's like a surprise, like a shock, a surprise. That's what it feels like in the film.
Because she knows that he's breaking off, but I think she doesn't know like what he's breaking off for. It's kind of like the same with the rest of the movie, where it's just like,
I don't think she even knows that he breaks off. I think she just walks down the wrong place and then just finds it.
No, because she so that's the thing with like with the cameras as well when they're shooting in darkness. Another thing is like they use like the standard green night vision to show like characters she's like trust like Daniel Kaluuya, but they use that kind of infrared kind of like high contrast thing when it's on like the CIA agents, because like she just doesn't, because like, you know, just like kind of show them in that bit more of like a shroud. So she sees that agent walking away. She knows that that's Alejandro, and she chooses to follow him instead of being part of the distraction that they're meant to be with. She knows what's happening.
I don't think she does, because like at the end, Josh Brolin's like explaining it to her, and they're like having a back and forth when she gets back out. She's like, "What the hell?" She's like, comes out of the tunnel, and she's like, she yells at Josh Brolin. She's like, "What the hell are we doing there?" You know, that's like what she says, and then Josh Brolin like explains it to her, says, "You weren't supposed to see that. You weren't supposed to know what was actually happening there."
No, like he says that, but I think he says that to kind of smooth it, because she's threatening to kind of take it to make it public. So he's just trying to saying that to smooth it over.
But she was doing that beforehand, so that indicates that she learned something in that tunnel. Yeah,
but she learns something, but it's not what you think she learns. She knows that Alejandro is breaking off. It's just like she doesn't know what for.
But
she knows it's an agent insertion. She just doesn't know why they're inserting the agent.
My point of confusion is, what does she learn then? I don't understand like what she sees that is so, like, she just literally sees them loading the car, right?
Well, it's probably the fact that he's going to take Silvio captive and kind of use him. I don't know.
Right. And did he actually... He did kill the other guy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm a bit muddy on that too, Fitzy. I'm sort of with you. I wasn't exactly clear on what the intention was with the scene of what my understanding was meant to be of what Blunt understood or not. border crossing scene was one of the most complicated parts of the production. It took so long to shoot that a full-scale replica of the Juarez border crossing was built. Shooting at the real location would have required days of road closures, which would obviously not be practical. How do you build
Yeah.
a replica of the border? What the hell? That's nuts.
Well, it's actually like much smaller because like the actual like border for like the like where like the El Paso Juarez crossing, it's like 14 lanes of like just traffic, just constant
Oh,
traffic.
right.
So that did that. So they pared it down. They made it like a smaller kind of like scale, I guess. But yeah, and they also couldn't like they didn't shoot in Juarez obviously because it's too dangerous. That they shot in like somewhere in New Mexico, something like that.
Yes. Okay. Let's get to our final verdicts for Sicario.
Another 9. I think it's my third week in a row of a 9.
Wow. Is it? Oh, yeah.
We've just reviewed some strong films recently. Probably
Back
like
at it.
probably like my 4th favorite Villeneuve film. But I mean, like that's subject to change because they're all so very close. You know, I think like my top 2 is pretty solid, but then like 3rd through to like 7th, maybe even 8th, they can swap around easy.
Well, so it's Blade Runner and what's the other
On
one?
Sunday,
Oh, yeah. Excellent. You know what? I'm going to give it a strong 8. And I was sort of, I don't know, it feels a bit wrong in a
Wow.
way. I feel like a 9 is sort of where I feel in my heart. But at the same time, this conversation honestly has sort of revealed to me that while there's so much amazing to say about the film, I really, really like it. I think it's an achievement. I think you should watch it. But everything that we sort of break down all sort of just does come back to, and this isn't necessarily, there's nothing wrong with this, but everything, all the details do just come back to the same core idea that the film is trying to represent, which is great. But it just makes for like, I don't know, I feel like it made for a bit less of a conversation, interesting conversation than I was hoping for, maybe. So I don't mean to review this podcast, but I guess I know, and also just I agree with Fitzy on sort of some of the plot things being a bit weird to me. So we'll give it a strong 8. Why not? Yeah. All right. So we've got another example here of this podcast changing my score a little bit. What about you, Fitzy?
7. It's good. It's cool. You know, it's not amazing.
Let's get into news chat. Jaden, did you watch either of the Monsters or Rings of Power trailer? Fitzy, which one do you want to start with?
I mean, Lord of the Rings. Yes.
All right. All right. Let's get into Rings of Power. What do you think of this trailer? I thought it was stunning.
Yeah, it was. Some of the shots were actually pretty amazing. Like there was this one shot that was like, holy shit! It looks like it was like a background shot of like the Elf Kingdom or some shit. Like,
Oh, yeah.
genuinely awesome.
There were a
Like,
few like that, I thought.
yeah. Well, I was like doubting like the production design at first from like the original trailer or whatever, but this trailer showed like a lot of like amazing looking like sets and like CGI or whatever.
Yeah. This was the first time I've seen this show and believed in its budget and believed that, oh, this looks incredible. Like this actually does look theatrically, like this doesn't look like TV anymore, whereas I feel like I felt that way about some of the other trailers we'd seen. I'm just curious, we'll have to wait and see the show. I'm just curious as to whether that's a product of them using their best shots or a product of like they've had more time to work on it and it is actually better. I don't know. Only time will tell. But yeah, no, I thought this trailer was the best look we've had at it so far. It got me the most excited. I mean, I don't know anything about the story, but it looks fantastic. It looks expansive. It looks like there's gonna be a diverse cast of characters in this cool ass world, and I'm all in. So I'm keen for it.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's definitely the best trailer. I think it's got me like interested in it now. So yeah.
Yeah. It felt like the thing that excites me about it is that I'm not super into Lord of the Rings, but like with Peter Jackson's films, I'm always very interested in like the look and the feel of the world, and always wanted to sort of, I always feel like I only scratch the surface of like time spent on screen in that world, and there can be so much more done, and so many more places to visit and all that sort of stuff. And I feel like I'm gonna get that, so that's exciting.
Yeah.
So yeah, journey back to Middle Earth very soon.
Oh yeah.
September 1st or 2nd, September 2nd.
Damn.
Very, very soon. All right, Liam, let's just do it. The Monsters trailer. What the hell was that?
Why did you even watch this? Like, this is like,
It was talked about for some reason. It sort of came to my attention.
did it?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like it looks very, very low budget. Like,
It's
like
not.
something you would not.
That's the thing.
see.
I think that's why it has attention.
Oh, okay, interesting. It looks very purposefully like weird, or like purposefully kind of,
Awful.
Yeah, like purposely bad, I guess.
It does. That's what's so confusing about it, is because the word around at the moment, I feel like this has to be a joke. Like, this has to be a bit that someone's on the production is pulling to give it attention, or it's like a clever PR move or something. But the word is that this film has a $30 to $40 million budget. And if you'd asked me what the budget was looking at the trailer, I would have said $10,000. It's one of the worst looking things I've ever seen in my life. The film, dude, the scenes don't look lit.
Well,
Hold on, I need to say this now.
You need to see it, Jan. And you
I
need
don't
to
know,
hear
I
it for
think
the acting.
they look like interesting in a way. Like, they're not.
Oh my god.
There's something going on there.
No.
It's not just bad lighting, I don't think. I think there's something going on there.
I mean, maybe
Like,
something going on.
Where's all the money go?
That's what I'm wondering.
I think it looks colourful.
Catering? Maybe
Catering.
I think some of the actors are all right. I don't know. Maybe the acting was awful. But yeah, that's probably maybe purposely bad direction. Dude,
Are these dogs? Do you hear these dogs?
I hear the dogs. Yeah, they upset about the Monsters trailer as well.
Wait, how long ago was this fucking trailer? Why can't I find it?
They go on like this for like 2 minutes and then they just stop.
It's the Munsters, as in MUNS.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, you're good. I couldn't believe it. I mean, maybe it's interesting and they're trying to do something cool for, like, I don't know, like a student film level.
Jaden loves Rob Zombie, so maybe he can explain.
Sorry?
He can explain it. You love Rob Zombie, so maybe you can give us some insight.
This thing is designed for such a niche audience that doesn't exist anymore that it's gonna just flop. I don't know, man. Like I hate Rob Zombie. Just straight up. But like, I can see what he's trying to do with this product, and I admire it. But like, it doesn't have a place in the modern. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'm very wrong. If the studio thinks it has a place, maybe it does. But like, this, to kind of so faithfully try and recreate its original aesthetic just colorized is interesting. It's not built for the modern audience. It's not built for the modern audience, and I don't think enough of that old audience exists anymore or is interested enough for it to kind of do well. I don't know, man.
Any theories on where the budget went?
I think those sets are misleadingly expensive.
No, $30 to $40 million.
I reckon a lot of it goes to that. A lot of it would have gone to makeup. A lot of it would have gone to paying actors as well, honestly.
Okay.
I don't know.
How much was Sicario made on? I don't know. It's got to be less than $100 million.
30 million.
Sicario was 30 million.
Yeah.
There you go. That's all. Case closed to everyone. That's all you need to know. That's enough of that, guys. That's enough of that. Let's get into our highlights of the week. Fitzy, what have you been watching?
JFK. I watched JFK. I watched it on the car trip back from the country.
You watched it with like all the sun glaring on the screen?
Yeah, on my phone. Fucking David Lynch.
No, you watched it on your phone?
Yeah. Oh, I don't have anything else to watch on.
Let's see. No, I was just thinking of the David Lynch thing.
Yeah, he's fuming right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, JFK is really good. It's crazy. It's like reminds me a bit of Casino, and just like all these like different like score and like soundtrack like overlapping with each other, and like crazy editing, and like it's just totally like coked out for like 3.5 hours.
Jesus, is that long?
Yeah, but it feels like 2 minutes out because it's awesome.
Isn't there a director's cut as well? JFK?
Is there? Because I watched it on Netflix and it was like 3 hours 25, and the runtime says 3 hours 9 minutes when I look it up. So I think I might have watched that potentially.
Oh, okay, cool.
Or maybe that's just long credits. I don't know, but yeah, it's really great. It's like the ultimate like like paranoia, like conspiracy movie. Old mate, what's his name? Kevin Costner's there.
Oh yeah.
He's pretty epic. He's like the solid, American hero guy, just bringing down the system, and it's fucking, it's legit insane. Absolutely, just nutters, just crazy. Yeah,
So you watched the 3.5 hour version?
I think so. If there's a 3.5 hour version, yeah.
There's a 3.5 hour version and a 3 hour and 9 minute version.
Yeah, it's like 3 hours, like 20 or something, 25.
Sounds like you watched the director's cut. Jaden, what about you, bro?
I watched The Cell, which is a film from the 2000s about a kind of it's a serial killer kind of detective affair, with the caveat that like they use dream technology to find out information, and like the film's kind of split in. There's kind of two very different parts where, like, in the real world, it's very reminiscent of, like, I don't know, just any kind of 90s detective kind of procedural, you know, the type. But then in the dream world, it's kind of very odd at the to say the least. The dream world is really cool, but like it feels very limited by the by the time and budget and kind of like just technology of like when it was made, because although it's meant to be like this kind of dream state, that each kind of scene in the dream feels very confined to like this kind of one room type setting. Some of them are a bit more expansive, but even like then it's kind of bland. It's still cool. It's a cool premise. It's an interesting kind of it's I guess like it's similar to Inception, where you kind of go into a dream to kind of get ideas about stuff or whatever.
That's cool.
Yeah, cast isn't really too amazing. Vincent D'Onofrio is there, which is good, I guess. I think Vince Vaughn's there as well, which is he does all right.
I like Vince Vaughn. I'm a fan of Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, but J-Lo is the lead, and we don't really like her, so that was unfortunate.
Wait, who's we?
Huh?
Do you like J-Lo? You don't like J-Lo?
Nah.
Okay.
All right, let me read out her filmography and tell me to stop when I say a good film. All right.
Well,
Hustlers,
okay. All right.
Ice Age 4, Ants, Marry Me, Out of Sight, Home,
Out of Sight.
Anaconda,
That's a good
The
movie.
Cell, The Wedding Planner, Ice Age Collision Course, What to Expect When You're Expecting, Made in Manhattan. I'll let that one slide. Monster in Law, Jersey Girl. Like these just. I mean, like she's not a good actress.
Dude, Ice Age Collision Course is a banger, bro. You kidding me?
Out of Sight is actually a good film. You should watch that film.
Out of Sight. All right.
Yeah.
People like Hustlers, don't they? I haven't seen
Hustlers is a good
Yeah,
film.
but Cardi B is in it, so it's not a good film.
Wow, that's brutal.
Oh, Out of Sight, Steven Soderbergh. That's why you like it.
I like it. It's a good film, Jared.
Yeah, but the reason you gave it a chance is because it's Steven Soderbergh, right? Oh, and George Clooney. Oh, and Vaughn Rames. And Don Cheadle.
Oh.
Wow. That's stacked.
Oh, awesome.
Viola Davis? Dude. Louis Guzman? Jeez.
Yeah.
On the watch list.
Dang.
That's going to make Jade a convert on J-Lo. All right, so I finished rewatching every episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi, so if you guys don't mind, I'm just going to sit here now and review every episode again. You happy with that?
I'm fine with that.
Excellent, thank you so much. So episode 1 opens on I watched goddamn Hunt for the Wilder People. Need a help on the Taika Waititi filmography there, so I'm making some progress. And this was the main one really that was standing out for me that I hadn't seen yet. And yeah, it's awesome. It's great. Check it out. It's good. It's like easy recommendation, very charming. It's that it's Sam Neill and that annoying New Zealand kid who's in every commercial in the woods hanging out. You know what I mean? So like, if you're into that, you're into that. If you're into Taika humor, you're into it.
Can we talk about how bad Thor: Love and Thunder is, though?
No, because we did that last week.
That movie was so terrible.
Bad? You think it's really bad?
Really,
like,
joke after joke after joke. The Iron movie didn't take itself so seriously.
Oh, it was definitely a comedy, no doubt about it.
Yeah, it was a comedy, but it was just like they marveled too close to the sun. It was just too many fucking quips. Way too many quips.
You're not alone. It's quite a divisive film, to my understanding. Anyway, thanks for hijacking me. Jesus Christ. So we got Sam Neill. He's great. I mean, Sam Neill's great. The dynamic between the two's awesome. I just love hanging out in New Zealand for a little bit. I sort of really just enjoy going back to Taika's roots and seeing him really. I mean, this was sort of felt like a natural evolution from Boy in that it's very much still feels like an independent film, but you got these big, fairly big name cast people, and he's clearly got a budget because there's an incredible CG boar that just blew me away. I'm like, dude, how did they get a CG boar that looks that good for a New Zealand government funded film? I was like, wow, that's crazy. So yeah, no, it's good. Check it out. I highly recommend it.
Taking inspiration from the Revenant.
That's right. That's right. He did. Direct inspiration. Yeah. I mean, it's basically actually the same film as The Revenant because they get all lost in the wilderness and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except it's New Zealand and there's a bunch of Kiwi people that make clips and stuff because it's Taika Waititi.
And it's not boring, was it?
It's definitely not boring.
Oh, good.
No.
Not like The Revenant at all.
As always, we'd love you to submit your questions, thoughts. Oh, shit. No, hang on. That's the wrong one. As always, now we hand the show over to you. That question of the show last week, we asked you, who was your favourite hitman in film and shit, in TV? Aiden said, Jules Winfield, who's Samuel L. Jackson in Pulp Fiction, for everyone out there who definitely wouldn't remember his name. Luke said, my answer is Jules as well, although I do like the confused Travolta meme. Haven't seen John Wick. Maybe I will if you do the series. We totally should do the series. What a great idea, Luke. Thank you. We're doing that, actually. I'm just executive order. We're doing that.
Wait, do we have a series lined up?
We do, but after that. So, yeah, very good. Jules. Actually, dude, I didn't know before the Discord, before you guys popped in there, I didn't know that Jules was a hitman. I don't really remember Pulp Fiction, to be honest with you, so I should probably revisit that. I feel like everyone remembers it except me, I feel like everyone loves it, remembers it, thinks it's a classic. I really like it, don't get me wrong, but I just don't remember it. Except when they talk about the Netherlands. The Royale with cheese, that's great. I love that. Andy said, both Jules and Vincent would ideally be my favourite, but those aren't my real answers. Whoa. My favourite hitmans are actually, you did grammatically correct, Andy. You did do the brackets. I just wanted to read it like you can't spell. My favourite hitmans are actually the musician assassins from Kung Fu Hustle. Just thought I'd change it up a bit with a different duo. I think you podcasters would have remembered them.
Who?
Nah, I don't. I don't remember. I don't remember anything about that movie. That movie sucked. Why didn't I give it a 3? Okay. Let's get into our answers. Jane, did you find yours?
Kind of, yes. I've got here sitting as Tetsuya Phoenix Tetsu Honda from Tokyo Drifter, but I'm not 100% sure he is a hitman. He's just kind of like a enforcer. So just for safety, I will say Leon the Professional from Leon the Professional is my favorite hitman.
And we got Fitty. What's your answer?
Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men. That's my answer. He's pretty intimidating, man. Come on. It's pretty good.
It's true. It's true. He uses the goddamn... the thing that just looks like a tire pumper, to kill people. Oh, it's the cow thing, whatever that is. That's pretty gnarly. It's messed up. That's the scariest part.
I mean, he uses everything to kill people. He uses a telephone cord.
The cow thing was the scariest, though.
Yeah, that was pretty horrifying.
My answer is Ray Shoesmith from Mr. In Between. Not even close, dude. Are you kidding me?
I forgot about that.
Not even close. But if I had to say someone else close, I guess it's John Wick, sure. Dude, what was Lee Van Cleef in Good, Bad, and Ugly? What is he a hitman? What's his thing?
No, yeah, that's what I was trying to think. In Cowboys, I was they're all bounty hunters, really, because that's what they're doing. Right. They're just collecting people for money. I was but a cowboy is different to hitmen, to bounty hunters, to assassins.
But we did agree that we'd count bounty hunters last week.
Yeah,
I don't know if that was on air or not.
Yeah.
But Lee Van Cleef, maybe?
Is he Lee Van Cleef? Is he the bad or the ugly?
He's the bad.
The bad, right.
But no, dude, it's Ray Shoesmith. Are you kidding me?
I thought you were going to say
Mike. Who?
Mike from Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul.
Oh, Mike.
Yeah, Mike.
Do you think Mike's a hitman? I don't think so.
Isn't that literally what he is?
No, I don't think so.
Mike.
I thought that's what his whole.
No,
purpose was.
I would disagree. He's like a what is he? He's a hired gun.
Is that not a hitman?
No, because he's never.
That's literally a hitman.
No, because he's not contract based. We've got to go back to that.
But what do you so hold on, a hired gun. What do you think they get paid with? A contract, man? Like they're
As a private.
No. He's on, dude. Mike gets health benefits. He gets salary.
And hitman. He's described as a hitman. I think in Breaking Bad, he's definitely a hitman. Maybe it changes.
I don't know. I watched his Soul Origin. I wouldn't call him a hitman, but maybe I'm wrong.
He's a hitman.
You get his whole origin story, which is great, by the way.
But what does that have to do with it? Later on, he's a hitman.
I don't think he is. Does he? Who does he kill? No spoilers.
He kills people. Someone.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I definitely know he's killed people, but I don't think he's ever killed anyone on a contract basis. You know?
Oh, he works for Gus.
Oh, we know he works for, no doubt. Yeah.
He's definitely killed someone for money.
Oh, I know he's killed people for Gus. I know. I've seen it on screen. I'm just saying. I don't know if that counts as a hitman.
I think it does.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, all right. Fine. I'll concede. And Mike's a very good answer as well.
Dude, I definitely thought you were going to say Mike. I also thought last week, by the way, Ambulance is not my second favorite. That was a joke. But I definitely thought last week that Jaden would say Dunkirk for his answer. Is that not a city?
Yeah, true, fair. I didn't even think about it. I was like, I looked at Dunkirk and I was like, it's not a place.
It's a movie. It's not
Dunkirk's just a beach, bro. Yeah.
Dunkirk's Dunkirk's a feeling, you know. It's
an experience.
Yes. As always, we'd love you to submit. This part's correct now. Submit your questions, thoughts, reviews for next week's film in the YouTube comments section. Send us a DM on Instagram. Or, join the Discord. Do join the Discord, but don't, you can also still write comments on YouTube as well.
If you feel like it.
Like Fitzy did, and I almost forgot it. This week, we're asking you, what is your favourite video game based on a movie? Let us know. All right. That's it for this week's episode of the Cinema Effect podcast. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Fitzy, what are we doing next week?
We're doing Scarface, which is apparently on Netflix, Foxtel, and Stan. So, no excuses.
So many things.
We need to we need to practice our Scarface impressions.
Oh yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
That's good.
Say hello. I don't
know. Oh, I think that was like the worst one yet.
The worst one yet. Like the worst one in human history.
It's just in 115 episodes of this show.
Holy shit.
Come on, man.
All right, let's get the hell out of here. Thank you, Liam and Jada, for joining me as always. We'll see you all next time. Do take care. Have a great week and goodbye.